Thank you. We would like to appreciate the presence of Senior Professor Sunanda Madhum Bandara, Vice Chancellor of the University of Kelaniya, to Iclim 2016. For that, I would like to invite Professor W.A. Veerasurya to present a token of appreciation to our Vice Chancellor. Thank you. We would also like to appreciate the presence of Professor A.H. M.H. Aberatna, Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences, University of Kelaniya, to Iclim 2016. To present a token of appreciation to the Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences, I invite Professor M.K. Veerasinghe. Thank you. It is my pleasure to appreciate the presence of Professor Egbert T. Smith, our keynote speaker, who came all the way from Belgium for Iclim 2016. I invite Dr. Vatmanel Seniviratne to present a token of appreciation for his presence. Thank you. At last, we would also like to appreciate the presence of Professor Pravakar Rath, our guest speaker from our neighboring country, India, to Iclim 2016. I invite Mr. K.A.T. Chamara, one of our conference secretaries, to present a token of appreciation for his presence. Thank you. We are very much pleased to have the presence of our honorable chief guest, Professor P.S.M. Gunaratna, Vice Chairman of the University Grant Commission. Dear sir, you are cordially invited to address our gathering on this special occasion.
Most Venerable Mahasangha, Vice Chancellor, University of Kelaniya, Professor Sunanda Madhum Bandara, Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, Professor A.H.M.M. Aberatna, Head Department of Library and Information Sciences, Most Venerable Lagum Deniye Pirathanathero, conference coordinators, respected professors, deans of the faculties, authors, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored and delighted to be here as the chief guest of this first conference organized by the Department of Library and Information Science on the theme Information for Sustainable Development, Challenges and Opportunities. Generally, I don't like a single department organizing a conference. I wish that a lot of departments, they organize conferences. But what I try to say here is that I would like to see that our universities organize conferences, getting together the discipline, all in that discipline, and have one great conference. But when it comes to this particular department and Library Science and Information, this is an exception, because this is the single department in our university system I hope that this conference is organized in collaboration with the libraries, because university libraries, in fact librarianship or librarians are considered as part of academic community. Therefore, this conference can be organized, I think already it is there, in collaboration with all the libraries, because they are also considered as academic. However, this first conference in this information, in the field of library sciences, should be appreciated, because the library science department has a history, but we never thought of having a conference. For that, my appreciation goes to first the head of department, Reverend Lagumdeniye Perathanathero, as well as Dean of the Faculty and the professors of that department, because organizing an international conference of this magnitude is not that easy task. Therefore, maybe head of department, deans, senior professors, not only them, even non-academic staff, they have to play a great role behind the scene. Therefore, I appreciate this initiative. I hope this will continue especially with the help of the association of all the libraries in the university system. Second, the field of library science or the library and information science is subjected to a vast change during the last 1 or 2 decades. Especially, intellectual structure of the libraries are changing rapidly, from all catalog systems to more modern, efficient databases are replacing. So therefore, there is a vast amount of learning and unlearning should be happening in these departments. So to embrace this great technological changes into our libraries, that is, the libraries is not a libraries, on the other hand, is representing communities. Libraries serves to communities. The communities are maybe academics, maybe citizens of the country, maybe school children, maybe specific libraries, maybe law library or parliamentary library, like specific communities. Ultimately, the libraries can serve entire society. Therefore, if we are behind the technology, if we are behind the modern development, we cannot give the fullest service to our community, our society. Therefore, it is very timely to organize, debate, discuss, deliberate issues in relation to this particular field of science. I am sure that over these 2-3 days, you will discuss issues related to this and come out with some sustainable solution, answers, and issues that further you will identify the issues that you have to further deliberate. In that respect, there is a great significance of this conference to the society, to the different communities, and all of us. Second, I would like to remind something, that with the modern changes, when the new UGC assumed duties, we decided to allocate a lot of money for libraries, especially databases, research databases. That centrally we allocate millions of rupees to support the databases required for all the fields by the UGC. That is not only for single university, that is all the universities. But little that our observation, especially with regard to the use statistics, is not that satisfactory. Therefore, two of our senior officials recently visited to some peripheral university, and in that discussion, one academic raised the issue of this, the journals and all that. He doesn't know that there is a system that we have contributed. UGC is paying a lot of money. All the universities are connected to this, databases. But therefore, I am sure that even the Department of Library Science, as well as the librarian, has a great job, informing all your communities, all your stakeholders of the services available through the university, these libraries. Some of our academics even doesn't know that we are contributing this much of great databases. Therefore, that is to support your research, support your academic career. We spend a lot of money for that. Then second, I would like to, that is with respect to libraries. Also, I would like to just mention few areas that current UGC giving a priority. That one issue that we are struggling with is that as a country, we all know that Sri Lanka, when it comes to the school education, gross enrollment ratios are very impressive. Primary education, almost our gross enrollment ratio is 100%. When it comes to upper secondary, it is 99, sometimes 99.7% or somewhere. When it comes to the upper secondary, also it is almost closer to 99%. So that is that we have achieved a lot in terms of school education. I am not saying that there are no problems in that area. There are problems, but still we have achieved a lot compared to the counterpart. We are considered to be a lower middle income country. Compared to the lower middle income countries, we have achieved a lot. And also we are comparable with the high income countries in that respect. But when it comes to the tertiary education, our enrollment ratios are not impressive. That our gross enrollment ratio is altogether with the small way private operators' contribution. Like we have degree awarding institution recognized by the government. We have cross-border institution where they offered foreign degrees through local counterparts, and with all, it's still around 20%. That is not satisfactory. Therefore, numbers coming to universities, the higher education is not satisfactory. because that in this country, the school education, because of our pre-education, as well as maybe political interest, and all the local politicians are interested in helping schools. But the universities are, to some extent, left out from the system. As a result, the university admission rates are not that satisfactory, because as we know that every year about 250,000 GC advanced level examination, around almost 150,000 passes the examination. So that then the number selected to the universities is I'm saying state universities. This year 2016 we are going to select 27,000 students from that lot. So that is not impressive. With this system we were not able to meet the aspiration of educated youths and their parents. Therefore, we have a great job. How to increase gross enrollment ratio in the universities. That is one of the priorities of the current UGC. We try to increase and create more and more opportunities for our educated youth coming from the schools. So that is a great challenge. But then, what is the other challenge that we are facing? And also, we have a high quality variation. We have to accept the fact that there is a high quality variation among institutions as well as within the institution among the disciplines. That we have to we have to accept the fact that. So then how we are going to improve the quality? There are 2-3 aspects of. Today what we need is educated youth as well as able youth. We have to produce an able graduate. That what the job market is demanded by. Sometimes jobs are not in the country. Then our graduates should be able to find a job elsewhere, outside the country even. If our job market, our economy is not growing to absorb all the graduates that we produce, then it is our job that they should not fail in any other place. Anywhere they should be able to work. Therefore, those required skills has to be imparted in our graduates. So that is another area that the current UGC is paying greater attention. How to incorporate, how to impart those required skills. Or sometimes it is, we have to, maybe that there are some, employee surveys of the graduate employee surveys. That there are certain degree programs, maybe within a shorter period, they could find jobs. But there are certain degree programs, it is not the case. They have to wait longer time. Unfortunately, social sciences and humanities, maybe their waiting time is longer. Then we have, as an academic, we have a greater responsibility. How we are going to respond to this problem? So how we are to make these graduates more employable? How we are going to make these graduates more able graduates? So that is a great responsibility. This is a challenge that we have to accept. Therefore, I think we need to have a kind of restructuring our degree program. Whether it is still that, especially when it comes to 3 subjects, standalone 3 subject, what you call general degree program. Maybe we have to rethink of whether we can incorporate certain skills component to this degree program. Some credit should be given to skill component. Whether that can be reduced to even, that should be debate. We are not going to impose these things by the UGC. Your academia, your institution, you have to discuss and think about how to bring necessary reforms. Especially that now the current, because that last year we changed the admission criteria to the universities. That is within the national policy. Now you know that each university's cut-off mark for each program from each district. Therefore, universities are to some extent, that is a measure of their quality in terms of the student mind. Therefore, if you are little behind, how to get into the little bit, higher position from in terms of student thinking. Therefore, it is our responsibility to change our, that if something good happening, student will get it back to the society. The next generation of students will think this is a better university than other one. Therefore, that kind of subtle competition is required in this sector for the improvement. I hope that this current admission criteria will help, within the universities system, some competition will help you to improve help you to understand where you stand as well as to improve your processes. Therefore, this is, and also that in the country now, degrees, that when it comes to the higher education, earlier it was a sole responsibility of the UGC and universities affiliated to it. Now it is no more. There are private institutions recognized by the government. It is not the UGC, Ministry of Higher Education. But also, there are 5 universities set up outside the Universities Act. Univotech, Kotalavala Defence Academy, Fisheries University, like that. There are 5 universities and 2 big universities, all are outside the Universities Act. Also, there are cross-border institutions. They come over here and franchise with the local partner and offer degrees. Therefore, we need to have a quality assurance mechanism to covering all these institutions. Therefore, there is some degree of quality assurance mechanism within the UGC system, but still we don't have powers to go and check other universities. I think we need to have we have to accept the fact that we need to have an independent quality assurance authority in this country. Most of the other countries, maybe international counterpart who are over here for this conference will know that in their countries they have these quality assurance mechanisms, that we need to have that kind of, our attention is being paid. Another area that we pay our attention is that I said that about the gaps that may in terms of gross enrollment ratio, we have to create more opportunities. Then we have to assure the quality of our degree program. We have to increase the quality of our degree program. Then third area is that we current UGC thinks that research, innovations and commercialization. And research, beyond academic research, maybe something that contribute into this economy we have to do. Maybe mostly the sciences, engineering, medicine and those faculties. When it comes to social sciences also, research is an integral part of academic life. Therefore, quality of research has to be improved. We pay attention to that as well. The research, commercialization and all these things. Maybe that our research is not going beyond academic papers. Therefore, we have to have, recently we issued a circular on UBL, University Business Linkage. Universities are supposed to work with the community, work with the industry. So therefore, the universities could offer a lot of their expertise to the industry. What the university could offer should be showcased through their university business linkages. But we issued a circular enabling universities to set up university business linkages. What we supposed is to showcase the rest of the world, what the university is having expertise, what you could help to the universities. And also we expect kind of entrepreneurial culture and create entrepreneurs through universities. Therefore, this kind of changes are taking place. There is that area. Also, there are some other areas. I don't know. These are the 3 main concerns of the current university. Grant Commission thinking. This is, we need the support of the university communities for these initiatives. This is not to block. We try to negotiate with the government and try to get the grants for these initiatives. Especially, I would like to say, now there are 2 granting schemes under the UGC for especially for the postgraduate education. Especially I would like to share that in Sri Lanka is not like other countries in the academia, the appointments to the academic positions start with the first degree. Most of the other countries, you can't join as a lecturer with the first degree. This is a country we recruit people. There are good and bad aspects of this. When you try to recruit with the first degree, then before leaving the fresh graduate with a, very good results, we can recruit to the university system. After that, we never sure if you try to recruit masters, PhD people, whether they have done well in the first degree. So that then there is a greater responsibility for us to train them. So therefore, we have allocated more money for this as well. I am sure that most of the universities currently having good master's program, but still I would think our PhD is like infant stage. Therefore, we have to, and also as academic, it's better to send to a better university outside world and get a better exposure and come back to Sri Lanka. For that purpose, we have maintained two funds under the, one is National Center for Advanced Studies in Humanities and Social Science. We have a grant scheme there, as well as another grant scheme maintained by the UGC directly for, but there we don't exclude the social science and humanities, but more priority is given to UGC scheme, sciences, because STEM areas, that means science, technology, engineering, and medicine. But HEMS are looked after by the NCAS, HEMS, humanities, management, social sciences, education, law, that type of degrees. So therefore, now we try to, in fact, government was generous in granting lot of money. We couldn't spend the money that they granted this year because number of applicants were less, but we have to introduce some stringent criteria in selecting people. One is that we look for the English, level of English. In fact, IELTS requirement is generally, band score is 7. Because this is now, initially this was taken as a challenge. Now today also there are interviews. We found that a lot of people coming to the interviews is already secured more than 7. Yesterday we interviewed a person who secured 8.5. So that is a remarkable development. If we pay attention to these areas, I think the quality of the undergraduate cannot develop without the developing the quality of our staff. Therefore, we pay a great attention to that as well. So that these are the little things that I can share with you from the UGC point of view. And thank you very much for listening to me. And also, I'm delighted to see here some foreigners foreign participants, experts are here to share with us. Especially, I would like to, I didn't mention that our keynote speaker is what it keeps virus? Yes, yeah, I found Professor Egbert D. Smith. Very welcome you, sir, here. I forget to mention your name at the beginning. And also, equally, I welcome all the foreigners here. Sri Lanka has, not only this conference, Sri Lanka is a beautiful country. There are a lot of things that we can offer you. I heard that there is a conference tour, that most of the conferences, this is the missing part. I appreciate what the head of department and the staff of the department took the initiative to show the country, not only the conference, and also I am sure over these 2 days, your intellectual debate, discussion, and everything will helpful to, sort of line of new thinking, to come up with line of new thinking, and to share again your knowledge, your thinking with other counterparts. Thank you very much. Enjoy the 2 days conference.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your fruitful thoughts with us. As a good news, we would like to inform you that we have provided all the facilities to see this inauguration ceremony online as well. In order to address the distinguished gathering, now I would like to invite our guest speaker, Professor Prabhakar Rath, from the Department of Library and Information Science from Mizoram University in India.
Honorable Vice Chairman, University Grants Commission, Sri Lanka, esteemed Vice Chancellor, the University of Kelaniya, esteemed guests of the invited guests, delegates, heads and deans, and my counterparts in the University of Kelaniya Department of Library Information Science, Professor Bir Singh, head of the department, Professor Bir Surya, Dr. Wathanmel, and many dignitaries, and finally my dear students. Well, this topic, library and information management, seems to be very simple, very broad, but it assumes great importance in the professional matters of library and information science. The traditional libraries are now having a great transformation. Not only in India, in international perspective, we are talking about digital libraries. We are talking about how the libraries can reach unlimited users by organizing, by processing, by disseminating information to the users. That is why we are talking about automation, networking, digitization. What are all these things? This is all what we are supposed to do as library information professionals, that how the data, information and knowledge putting together are scientifically organized and make it accessible to the unlimited users. This is what, in a simple term, what is our subject is. That is why we apply a number of methods, techniques, tools, softwares, how more and more information, global access to information can easily reach the academic fraternity, students, teachers, scholars. I just now learned from the Vice Chairman University Grants Commission that the Sri Lankan government has made some initiatives how more and more e-resources could be available or accessible to the academic fraternity. We have a similar network called Information and Library Network in FlimNet, which is now providing more than 10,000 full-text foreign journals to all those members, particularly the universities and colleges in India. And if a similar provision is already available, and it is it should be more accessible through training programs, through awareness programs, so that there will be a drastic change of in your budget because this growth and popularity of e-resources. So when you talk about this library information management, information as a key input for the sustainable development of any society. We are talking not only about information society, new information society, knowledge society, and now there are global powers where the knowledge has become the principal strategic resource of that developed nations or developing nations. Therefore, information will continue to play as a major strategic resource for all these developing and already developed nations. It is in this context that the library information management, this topic assumes great importance, and the School of Library Information Studies, and particularly the University of Kelaniya, through this first conference of library information management to this international gathering, to say that the library information professionals also play a very important role, not only in providing library information services. Equally important is how our training, our capacity building program, our professional development program are equally going to be so much committed and so much skill oriented, so that we can satisfy our customers, those who are the students, scholars, and in public at large. How the libraries, irrespective of kind they are, school, college, public library, university library, how best they are managed, particularly when there is growth of popularity of digital libraries and the internet, how these can be properly organized and disseminated. That is what we will be discussing in these 2 days, how best we can manage our libraries and information centers, particularly in the age of digitization, or what we're talking about knowledge society. With these words, I don't want to continue much. We will be discussing further in the coming sessions, and I extend my very sincere thanks, not from me, and also on behalf of my fellow participants from India, that the University of Kelania has organized such a beautiful international event and international get-together in the field of library information science to discuss some of the emerging areas in these 2 days. With these words, I once again thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. As I have mentioned before, there are outstanding figures behind every academic endeavor, and Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, Professor H.M.H. Aberatna, always plays a vital role for the accomplishment of academic pursuits. Now, I do cordially invite Professor H.M.H. Aberatna to deliver his speech.
Good morning, Reverend Sirs, Professor P.S.M. Gunratna, Vice Chairman, UGC, Senior Professor Sunanda Madhum Bandara, Vice Chancellor, University of Kelania, our keynote speaker, Professor Ilbert D. Smith, Professor Pravakar Rath, and Professor R. Sevakan, and Dr. P. Venkatarao, Deans of Faculties, Directors, Heads of Departments, members of the academic staff, presenters, participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to address you on this very timely important occasion, the Iclim, organized by the Department of Library and Information Science, University of Kelania. Actually, I would like to pay my sincere gratitude to the members of the Department of Library and Information Science, especially Venerable Lagumdini P. Ratanathero, Professor Veerasinghe, Professor Veerasurya, and Dr. Namali, Mr. Chamara, and even Dr. Vatmanil Seniratna, who tried their best to success this conference. They organized this conference very well, and I would like to thank them again. Research Center for Social Sciences of the Faculty of Social Sciences organized the 3rd International Conference on Social Sciences 3 weeks back successfully. And near 200 research papers were presented there. And members of the Department of Library and Information Science worked hard to make that third Social Sciences Conference success. Dr. Namali, Professor Veerasuriya, Professor Veerasinghe, and so. Without an interval, they had to work hard again for the success of this conference, first conference on library and information science, information management. However, members of the Department of Library and Information Science were able to overcome difficulties and challenges they had to face by their commitment, hard working, and dedication. So I again would like to thank them for organizing this kind of very, very timely important conference. As the Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences, I take this opportunity to appreciate the encouragement supplied by our Vice Chancellor, Senior Professor Sunanda Mandara, who was the former Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences. He established the Research Center for Social Sciences for the development of research culture of the faculty. And also he established a research fund using the generated funds of the faculty to encourage and supply financial assistance to the young researchers of the faculty. I think now it is having its fruits now. At the same time, he established, you can see near the Faculty of Social Sciences, the palm leaf manuscript research library for the conservation of indigenous knowledge and do research on indigenous knowledge. And actually, I am happy now as the Vice Chancellor, University of Kelaniya, Professor Madhum Bandara, has established the Research Council for the advancement of the research activities of the university. Under his leadership, all faculties and departments are organizing this kind of symposia. I think it is very important. And due to his assistance, University of Kelaniya has gained a number of achievements in various fields of research. This conference also one of that kind conference, and I wish you all to have a fruitful research symposia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. As our Dean said correctly, the University of Kelaniya is highly committed to encourage research among the academics in order to promote high quality research. Therefore, the University of Kelaniya is the forefront among Sri Lankan universities in giving highest support for conducting research and disseminating research findings. We have a great leader behind our success. He is no one other than our Vice Chancellor, Senior Professor Sunanda Madhum Bandara, University of Kelaniya. Sir, I invite you now to deliver your speech.
Sangha, and Venerable Lagundini Piratanathiro, the head of the Department of Library and Information Science, Professor P.S.M. Gurunathne, Vice Chairman, University Grant Commission, Professor H.M.H. Abhiratra, Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences, the keynote speaker, Professor Egbert D. Smith, guest speaker, Professor Pravakar Rath, and members of the academic staff, and ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to address this important conference, ICLIM 2016, organized by the Department of Library and Information Science of the University of California. This is the first international conference organized by the Department. Department of Library and Information Science has been holding a very significant position in the library and information sector of Sri Lanka for more than 4 decades. University of California enjoys the monopoly of this subject in the entire higher education system of Sri Lanka, because no other university in the country has an academic department for this discipline. Not only that, as our Dean Social Science mentioned, we have the first and only Olaleaf manuscript library established after the King's rule in Sri Lanka. I invite all of the foreign and local scholars in this discipline to visit the adjoining building. The libraries, Olaleaf Manuscript Library, is located in this building, and it has a collection of more than 800 original manuscripts and thousands of digitalized manuscripts for your service. Therefore, I take this opportunity to appreciate the service rendered by former heads of the departments, Professor Jayasri Lankagi, late Professor Piyadas Ranasinghe, Professor Veera Singhe, Professor Veera Surya, Senior Lecturer Tikiri Gunathilaka, the present Ambassador of Seychelles and Mauritius Islands, for bringing this department to this position. Not only does this department disseminate knowledge related to library science in the country by offering programs of study at different levels, but it also conducts serious research in the discipline. I am particularly glad to see the Department of Library and Information Science serving all the stratas of the society. For instance, it conducts diploma courses for people who have not had opportunity to enter university, and at the same time it provides opportunities for graduates to pursue postgraduate studies in both master and PhD level. ICLIM 2016 organized with the participation of highly reputed professionals and academics of the disciplines of the library science is indeed a great achievement. I am sure that this conference will enable both local and foreign researchers and academics to share their research and experience, and at the same time establish cordial relationship among them, whereby they will be able to broaden the horizons of discipline further. I take this opportunity to thank Venerable Lagumdeni Piratanathiro, the head of the department, and head of the department, and the hard work and academics of this department for organizing this important event. I wish the conference all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, to commence the main function of the event, namely keynote speech, I do kindly invite Dr. Vatmanel Seneviratna, one of the coordinators of this conference, to introduce the keynote speaker.
Thank you, Namali. Most Venerable Mahasangha and Honorable Vice Chairman of the UGC, also Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University, and distinguished Deans and Head of the Departments and Academic Heads, and our invited speakers from India and other countries, and Professor Egbert, and all the participants and ladies and gentlemen. Experts are treasure of knowledge, always it is so. Vice Chancellor sir, it's my great honor for me to introduce the keynote speaker of the conference, Professor Egbert Dismet, for this memorable occasion. Professor Egbert Dismet is the chair of the Department of Library and Information Science, University of Antwerp, Belgium. Professor Egbert earned his basic degree in political science and social sciences. Later, he had shifted to library and information science field and earned his PhD in library and information science in 1993. He is a researcher by virtue in the science of information and information systems, community informatics, documentary information systems and related fields, and had widely published in the area of library and information sciences. Professor Egbert is a renowned trainer in information systems and accessing electronic resources and marketing of electronic information resources, and had been involved with INASP, one of the networks in UK, who had a pioneer role played in distributing electronic resources in developing countries. And he had been involved with this INASP since 2005. He is the organizer of the well-known Stimulate. All of us know what is Stimulate, and he's behind this program. And a founding member of the MA program in Library and Information Science, University of Antwerp since 1993. Professor is a well-known trainer in CDSIC's library systems since its introduction to the library field in 1980s, I think, and mastered its newest version up to now. There are a lot of versions coming in CDSICs. Now he's at ABCD software training around the world. So we are very happy that you are here also, sir. So with this very short remark, Vice Chancellor, sir, I invite Professor Egbert to deliver his keynote speech for this Iclim 2016.
A very good morning. It's an honor and a delight to be here with you. I have to thank for giving me this opportunity the Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences, the Vice Chancellor of this university, and I'm sure they were also fully backed by the UGC, represented here by their Vice Chairman. It is my first time in Sri Lanka, and therefore it's a double honor to be also invited for the first international conference organized by the Department of Library and Information Science here at the University of Kelania. I came from very far, a small country in Western Europe, Belgium. I didn't come, I hope, empty-handed, because we have a lot of rain in my country, and I think I brought you some, which was very well deserved, as I learned that Sri Lanka had somehow a shortage. But I'm also coming with a lot of regards, respect, greetings from my people, the Flemish, the Belgian academia and librarians. The title of my keynote presentation reflects the ideas which I would like to present to you now. I have been searching for the foundations in information science which can also guide us, librarians, in our professional ethics. So the title introduces you to the concept of the mode of information. And then, of course, I also needed to sneak in the theme of the conference, sustainable information, which I will try to elaborate on later on, as foundations for librarians' ethics. The overview is just to guide us through my presentation, which I hope I can keep a little bit brief, because we are running a little bit late. But I'm sure the presentation in full will be available during and after this conference. I would like to introduce you to the concept of the information model, and then the information mode, which is still a bit different, which are two ideas or two theories to explain the pull model of communication, which is represented in information science. And based on that, I will try to come to some conclusions for the professional ethics for librarians. But then at the end, I really would also like to elaborate on two, in my opinion, very important opportunities, which is also in the theme of this conference, not challenges, but opportunities for sustainable information. I will talk briefly about open access in science information and open source in software. Now, what is this about that pull model of information? Actually, and let me be brief about this, etymologically the word information originates from the Latin idea of informare, which means creating shape, and that comes from the old initial model of communication. We call it the Aristotle model, where a teacher is communicating directly with a student. But in time, messages and knowledge became too many for this type of traditional communication. So a new model emerged, and as I will try to illustrate in the next few slides, we will see that something new has arisen from that new model. But basically, what I'm trying to advocate here is the idea that over the long period of history, what has fundamentally happened, the fundamental trend is that technology, and in our case information technology, is improving the power of the user. And that is the idea of the pull model. Not pushing, but users pulling their information. This is the very simple model, the Aristotle model, a big sender, a message, direct communication. So this could be called the push-driven model. In mass communication, the receivers became very many, mass communication. But then, in modern times, things still have changed, because also the senders became many. We are no longer talking about, for instance, the traditional model of the national broadcasting company, which was broadcasting one message, as we could say. But now we have tens, hundreds, sometimes thousands, millions of senders. At the other side, you still have many receivers, but they started interacting because of the possibilities offered by technology. So senders also become receivers of feedback, and receivers of information, of communication, also become producers of information. This is the new model. But still, something specific has happened in the middle of this picture. Because of the fact that messages got recorded, in my vocabulary I would call it, they became documentary. They are registered on time and space persistent carriers, like paper, but also like hard disks, computers. It means that there is a two-step flow of information, of communication, an idea which was introduced by a famous communication scientist, Magnus Enzensberger, meaning that the messages as such in between senders and receivers need their own organization. That field of expertise gets its own laws, its own rules, its own techniques, and that is exactly the field information science is looking at. In between a large group of messages, heterogeneous, uncontrolled, we have at the other side the same large group of receivers, heterogeneous, again fragmented. It's no longer the clear picture which we used to have in history. In between those two sides, there is the field of recorded information, information which is there waiting for users to pull it. No longer, as in the old model, it is about direct sending of the message. I got those ideas, by the way, from some well-known books, at least time ago, like Alvin Toffler was the author of The Third Wave, with which he wanted to indicate after the industrial phase of civilization, we are now in the information age. And he has been describing many trends, even before they were there, long ago, which we can now observe to be fully there. I will give you one example later on. Another important author in this context is Mark Poster, who was describing the mode of information, not the model, but the mode, because he refers to the Marxist economical theory of the mode of production, where he observed that the way how economical production is organized fully influences on society. It arranges how people interact. And the observation of Mark Poster is that this same mode of production, but in this case production and consumption of information, is now fully impacting on modern contemporary society. His most particular observation, however, is, and since he wrote this in 1990, which is already long ago, he was referring to the then, at that time, innovation of information technology, which was the video recorder. Some of you, especially if you are young, you might not even know anymore what is a video recorder, but it was the first technology allowing mass communication by TV to be controlled somehow, to some extent, by the user, by the receiver. Because no longer that national broadcasting company was the only one deciding on when you could view the program. You could record it, you could tape it, and then look at it later on. And not only when you are looking at that message, but also how fast you can do that. No longer is only the decision by the sender. Because with the video recorder you can go back, you can rewind, you can do fast forward. So that technology, it's a simple example, but it illustrates fundamental changes in communication models. If we look at today's technology, and this was not even there when those authors were elaborating their theories, I think the World Wide Web is a very clear representation of this model and this mode of information. We have an incredible amount of messages, very fragmented, almost impossible to control. At the other side, we have an incredible amount, a number of receivers, us, all of us. We are also fragmented. There are no more clear targeted audiences. So this is the new model very much represented in the technology of today, which is the World Wide Web. But let's also observe that there is very strong information processing. That information is recorded, is fixed on carriers. And for instance, Google, we all know Google does a lot of processing based on information science concepts. Processing with one goal to actually put more power at the end of the receiver, to find information which is relevant. So the World Wide Web, no matter, and this is maybe something for discussion, no matter how much there are efforts to make it still push-driven, advertisements are still there, but basically the model is pull-driven because we, the users of the World Wide Web, we decide where we go. The whole concept of hypertext, as it became fully popular in the World Wide Web, allows the user to decide where to go, which sequence of messages to follow. But there are other examples. WhatsApp, Facebook, I think we all use our mobiles nowadays. There are also new technology where the receiver, where the user has the full command. In mass media, I don't know whether this is already that much a reality in Sri Lanka or in India, but we have technologies like Netflix, Spotify. I don't know whether those names are familiar to you, but Netflix provides TV programs on demand. It's like the idea of on-demand publishing. So it is the user who decides when he or she wants to see which movie, which program. You can order it at any time. So that is fully the idea of pull-driven. In the case of music, what is becoming very popular, at least in the Western world, is companies like Spotify, where again the music you are listening to is not broadcasted by a mass medium like radio, but you are the one asking for specific songs, specific music to be sent to your device. Again, I think this illustrates the power of the pull model. Well, let me skip this one because it is just repeating the basic ideas of the information model and the mode of information. Now we have to look, because time is running fast, what does this mean for librarians? We can observe that maybe information is not anymore a typical economical problem like a problem of scarcity. Rather, our problem is we have too much of it. If we need guidance, it's rather guidance into finding our way in that ocean of information. But librarians have always been familiar with this model and this mode of information. For instance, the old medium, the book, you can take it anywhere. You can read it anytime. Actually, it is hypertext, because you can jump from here to there. You can rewind. You can go fast forward if you want. So this is the model of the librarian's information. And it is still very modern, because it represents in a clear way the model and the mode of information. That is why I think librarians should be proud of that and should be also active in keeping, in remaining the guardians of that type of information. I would call them shepherds rather than preachers. Preachers are those who want to convince people with direct messages to their audience. Librarians are different. By the way, I think both have their way of being justified professions. I'm not criticizing preachers. I'm only saying librarians have a different role to play. They are the guardians of information availability. They are like shepherds. They make sure there is some grass for the sheep, and they will guide them there, but once there, they will leave them to graze freely. That's a little bit the picture I wanted to present here. So, the ideology of availability, that is what should guide librarians. All information available for everybody. Everybody who has interest in something, who is interested in cultural, scientific ways. But also everybody, and that is a slight different idea, for whom it is important. In my language, which is Dutch, to be interested has the two meanings. Not only you are interested because you like it, but also because it's important to you. So that is what librarians should be looking at. In the IFLA, the International Federation of Library Associations, there is a famous, long-standing action program which is called Universal Availability of Publications, where IFLA is trying to make sure that every country has a national library, for instance, making sure that all books published within the country are known, or at least managed, or registered. So that idea has always been there for librarians, universal availability of information. But our information model as librarians is one which is very lenient, patient, a documentary format, as I would call it. The information is there, it gets organized, it gets indexed, registered, all those science, information science processes, I should say. So it's not pushy, it's not obtrusive, it's just waiting there in an organized way for users to access their information, to pull it. That information or that process is also non-committal. It's open-ended. For librarians, we say, okay, what you do with it is not really our concern. Our concern is to make sure it is available. Well, this is a position which could lead to very hot discussions in certain topics, which I can only briefly mention here. But for instance, currently at this time, you might be aware of WikiLeaks publishing information having quite an impact on USA presidential elections right now. With that philosophy, they say, sorry, we don't care about the impact, we only want to make sure it is available. That's a very radical position, and one could not agree with that. Let's not go into that discussion now, but my position is, this is also the position of the librarian. The availability is more important. Let's make sure information is there and can be accessed. There are other examples. Books which we might not like to be there in our public libraries. So at times this discussion will not be easy. Should librarians advocate the presence of such books even in public libraries? Then my view is, but it's just a starting point for discussions, the starting point for librarians should be, yes, they should be there. Of course, there can be, however, but reasoning later on. I'm also going to skip this one, but you will find it in the presentation, where I'm comparing librarians like shepherds to preachers with our different models of information. The ethical consequences are very clear. Access and availability are key. The receivers, the users, the community, as it was mentioned earlier this morning, are in command. They are also becoming senders. There is interaction. So they are responsible themselves for the information they are dealing with. In library science, for instance, we know already for quite some time the paradigm shift from collection orientation towards user orientation. I think this is the same idea. Information science is really about developing more and better tools to give more power even to the users, to the receivers of messages. And librarians, in my view, they should advocate this. Librarians should refrain from being gatekeepers. They should rather keep the gate open keepers. Okay, so librarians are the guardians of the right to information. I have put that famous article of the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. Ours is number 19, which is clearly mentioned the freedom of expression and opinion, which presupposes free access to information. Now, let's move into the theme of this conference, and I'm almost about to finish. Don't worry. We are moving into sustainable development as a theme. I translate it as sustainable information. If the right information at the right time, in the right format, if that is indeed important for development, and I think we all agree on this, then also sustainable information is crucial for that sustainable development. But the price of information is often a barrier. It has been mentioned before that information in the format of scientific databases is very expensive nowadays, and it's not always that easy to afford. I'm happy I can refer here not to Ranganathan himself, that would have been nice for my Indian colleagues here, but another colleague, not that long ago, he has mentioned a variety of other 5 laws for libraries, and one of them is clearly representing this idea to protect free access to knowledge. That should also be in our books, in our professional ethics. And I think the 2 most useful opportunities I see there are provided by the concepts of open access and open source software. Open access is about scientific information. The reasoning is very simple. I will try to summarize very briefly. Most scientific research and their publications have already been paid for by people, by paying taxes. They are government-based institutions like universities doing the research. So the question is then, why should we pay again? We've already paid for that effort. So we have the right to see the results of our scientific research efforts being paid by public money. Open access is the movement in science to provide that information freely based on that reasoning. The second idea is open source. Well, the full name is free and open source, because free software also means it's not only without any purchasing prices, but you are free to use it in whatever way you want. You can even adjust it, you can adapt it to your needs. But it's mostly open, meaning that you have full access to the mechanisms, the coding of the software itself. What is important in this respect? It's not that much about transfer of technology, but the transfer of knowledge, how to use that technology. And in my view, only open source software allows this model to work. With open source software, the software, let's think about library automation, for instance, because that is the field in which I do most of my projects. Open source library automation will provide all the tools, a toolbox to the librarians to
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your scholarly thoughts with us. And it was very informative speech. Thank you. Now we have already reached the end of our inauguration ceremony. And I do kindly invite Mr. K.A.T. Chamara, one of the secretaries of this conference, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning to all of you. Most venerable Reverend, distinguished guest, I stand before you with a deep sense of honor and privilege to express on behalf of organizing committee in this conference our profound gratitude to our chief guest, Professor P.S.M. Gunaratna, Vice Chairman, University Grant Commission, Sri Lanka, for having time off your many responsibilities to join us here today. Let me also express our deep gratitude to our Vice Chancellor, Senior Professor Sunanda Madhuma Bandara, for having graciously agreed to host this important conference. We owe a deep gratitude to the Dean, the Faculty of Social Sciences, Professor H.M.H. Abeyratna, and all the deans participated in this occasion are praiseworthy mention. I would like to offer my sincere gratitude to the head of the department, Reverend Lagumdeniye Piyaratana Thero, and all the head of departments joining us here today are greatly appreciated. The holding of this conference has been made possible by invaluable encouragement extended by Iclim coordinators, Professor M.K. Veerasinghe, Professor W.A. Veerasuriya, Dr. Vatmanel Seneviratna. A very special word of thanks should go to all of you. The keynote speaker, Professor Egbert D. Smith, delivered inspiring, thought-provoking speech highlighting mode of information for all sectors of the society. Thank you very much, sir, for your speech. I would like to thank all invited speakers, invited guests, for having traveled from near and far to honor us with your presence. Our sincere gratitude goes to professors and all the academic staff members, including librarians, gave us an encouragement, gracing this occasion. And also we would like to thank Registrar, Bursa and administrative staff for extending their support to Iclim. And also a special thank goes to Secretary Dr. Namali Suravira and organizing committee members, especially Miss Navoda, Miss Sevandi, Miss Nayani. Without their commitment, Iclim 2016 is not a reality. I value the support, their cooperation, respective of their field given by non-academic staff, members of the faculty, media unit and other medias, curator and his staff, work engineer and his staff, transport section staff. I offer my sincere gratitude to all presenters, all session chairpersons for their active participation. Our volunteers and students work tirelessly with the guidance of academic staff. So thank you very much for your support and dedication. Last but not the least, we wish that this will be a most interesting and productive conference in the annals of Sri Lankan librarianship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chamara. That brings our opening ceremony to a close. Our first technical session will commence around 11 a.m. At the boardroom of the Faculty of Social Sciences. And also there is an announcement from the Department of Modern Languages. They have been planning to have their inauguration ceremony of International Conference on Foreign Language, Teaching and Learning at this venue. However, it has now been shifted to K14001. Thank you once again for your presence today. On behalf of the Iclim 2016 Organizing Committee, we look forward to 2 days of incomparable academic experience with all of you. I hope you will have a fruitful experience throughout this conference and have a happy memories to take home. Thank you. Please rise for the national anthem.